Okay, go for it.
All right. Today is Friday, December 1st, 2018, and this is the Kubernetes CSI implementation meeting. Going to our outstanding 113 tasks. We have all the sidecars are cut. However, the documentation and RBAC examples for node driver registrar and cluster driver registrar are out of date. Looks like Jose was able to do the RBAC and all the registration cleanup for node driver registrar. We just need to update the README and then cherry pick all those to the 1.0 release branch. And once all those are done, then we can cut a new 1.0.2 sidecar.
Hey, where is this documentation?
That's a good question.
Because I had to update my CSI driver to work with 1.0, and I was basically just guessing what to do with the sidecars, and I was thinking there's got to be a better way.
Yes. The documentation currently is in a terrible state. What we want to do going forward is to document as much as we can in every single sidecar repository. So have all the YAMLs, example YAMLs, and also the READMEs and stuff that, describes all the arguments and parameters and all of that. And have that with the sidecar. That way, whenever we update the sidecar, the documentation should be updated with it too. And then on the Kubernetes docs page, we can point to each sidecar repository, so that you can have a end-to-end example in the docs page.
Yeah. So I'm working on that right now.
So there'll be one centralized place we can point people to that'll sort of fan out to the individual docs.
Repositories, yeah.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. That would have been helpful, but of course, I was able to just copy what other people did, get it to work.
Yep. So that's something that Saad is trying to do by the end of this year, I guess. And at the same time, I think we should also update all of the sidecar repositories and to have better documentation. So that is still outstanding. I will ping Jose and see if he's still around and might have time to work on it today. If not, could probably take a look at it next week. There's also cluster driver registrar needs to be cleaned up. I asked Hamant to take a look at this, but I think Hamant is out for the rest of the year. Vlad also said if he finishes the host path stuff, then he could take a look at this too. I'm unsure if Vlad is going to be here next week, but we'll see. Those were the only two outstanding sidecars, I think, that needed updated documentation. I think all the other sidecars are in pretty good shape. Next is the secret logging stuff. So we backported all the changes to 0.3 and we cut new 0.3 releases for these three sidecars. So I think maybe now that the releases are cut, we can look at making a public announcement maybe at the beginning of January once people are back from the holidays.
We also cut a new liveness probe yesterday.
For 0.3 or 1.0?
1.0.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't.
Not an issue.
We didn't backport the secret logging to liveness probe 0.3 because we never cut a 0.3 in the first place.
Oh, okay.
I think we only cut 1.0, so
nice.
All right.
That means there is no liveness probe for 0.3. That sucks. Okay.
Yeah. All right. That's that. Splitting up driver registrar, the only outstanding task is we need to transfer all the issues and also go through all the pull requests again and see if we still need them or not. We can do that later. Syncing the host path driver YAMLs. I guess Vlad is not here, so he has a PR out. Let's see. I think it looks like Patrick is pretty active in reviewing this, so it's slowly making progress.
So while
All
we're talking
right.
about the host path driver, does it have a single owner?
Not really.
Okay, because I'm.
What do you mean by single owner?
I want to look at adding the raw block support to it, and I'm wondering if there's like one person I should talk to, or if I should just go at it.
No. Just you can create an issue for it, and then say that you're gonna work on it, just so you know. We just keep track of who's doing what. That's
Right.
it.
Okay. So there's no like.
And also we have. Yeah, there's no like one person. It's just all of us are kind of doing whatever.
It's a shared thing.
We did create a new repository for the host path driver, so it's no longer in the common drivers repo anymore.
Okay, it's in this repo that I see here on the agenda.
Yeah, on the
CSI
and actually, host. So yeah, that's where we're gonna be putting the host path driver now. I think Vlad is still in the progress of migrating all that code over, so I think right now.
So it hasn't landed yet. Okay, yeah. Well, so I'll wait for it to turn up there and get stabilized, and then I'll start putting issues and PRs against that repo. I don't plan on doing any of this before the new year. So,
yeah, no problem.
Sometime in January.
Yep, sounds good. All right, next is updating the PDE2Es to use the updated sidecars and driver. I think Cheng is doing this as part of his topology PR. And then we just have updating the docs. Saad, do you have an update on that?
Work in progress. Keep an eye out before the end of the year. I'll
start
dumping out PRs soon.
Awesome. That's all the 113 tasks. Our miscellaneous topics and issues. So Xing, were you able to look into rebasing the snapshot E2Es?
Yeah, pinned my coworker, but I haven't heard from him about this one. So this one actually should be based on 2 PRs. Maybe a little difficult to do based on one. That is deal with things. There are 2 PRs you need to based on, so that will be.
I think Patrick's second PR might also have pulled his first PR in.
Oh, okay.
So you might just be able to look at one of them.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
Let's see. We have our 112 plugin watcher issues. Is there still a discussion? No, it's been merged. Has it been merged? Oh no, it's this one. It's still pending. I guess Renaud maybe is not around for the holidays, so we might have to pick this up beginning of next year, potentially. All right. Oh, let me actually copy that PR in. All right, and then flaky reconstruction tests. I'll need to sync up with Jing on this. I asked her to open an issue. I don't know if she did that yet, but I think she's actively looking at this. Okay. So that's all I have on the agenda. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up?
About this move the CRDs to beta. I put that PR from Fabio. I think Fabio and also Matthew were working on that.
Yeah.
Just started to rebase and see what's included, and also talked to Deep about it. So he said he's going to talk to SIG architecture about the webhook and certificates, that part of it. And so I will look at this install CRD piece. I think probably after the new year, when folks are back, I need to ping Fabio and Matthew and see what their plan is for this.
Okay.
You see, they were working on it until I think like mid of November, and then they were probably working on other things.
Yeah. So I think they can, if they're willing to, they can, continue where they left off.
Yeah.
I think the main thing to watch out for is I think David made a few changes to the objects. So they might have to rebase off of David's changes.
Is it David? I thought it was Chen. I was rebasing it. I seen there was some changes in the I think what is that, the node info manager. I saw there was some conflicts
I
there.
think David also made changes to the actual CRD definitions.
Okay.
So that might have to be resynced. And also I think maybe in this PR that moved it to beta, Jordan had a few comments about the status sub-resource and stuff. So we might have to go address that too.
I actually see one commit about the sub-resources, about the status. I don't know if that's that. Okay, I'll take a look. I'll take a look and see if those are addressed. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I think the other important thing to look at regarding moving the CRDs to beta is we need to look at how we are going to install all these CRDs by default with all the deployment tools that are used in CI. So we only updated Cube Up for GCE, I think, but we need to update it for, I think, the local clusters, and also we need to look at Cube Atom and also COPS. I think those are the major ones.
Yep. There is a add-on today. It exists, but every deployment needs to opt into using that add-on. Today we modified the GCE Cube Up script, and the way that it's modified is if the all alpha flag is set, it will automatically install it. So even for GCE, we're going to have to figure out a solution as we move forward and enable this by default, because the Cube Up scripts don't really use the Cube feature Go package.
Well, it would just be once it's beta, it's on by default, so you don't even need to check.
Yeah, we probably want to have a flag, but like if it's not explicitly disabled, just install it.
I thought this was one of the topics that the SIG API machinery guys was going to help us sort out, the whole issue of how the heck do you get CRDs installed reliably across all the different deployment mechanisms. It seems like a huge problem.
Yep.
And I thought it was solved.
No,
nope.
Far from it.
I think last release we talked to SIG cluster lifecycle, SIG architecture, and API machinery, and they all basically said, you should figure out something.
Until they come up with a real solution.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's just TBD?
Yes.
And all of this, we have to get this resolved.
I think we need to get
code freeze.
I think we need to get this resolved because the moment we turn it on by default and we start like requiring that the CRD be installed, like all the tests will start failing on those other deployment mechanisms.
Okay, so I'm actually checking the release schedule. Well, they have not really published here, so I look at the one from last year, which starts on the 2nd of January, right? And then code freeze is February 26th. That was last year, so I assume it's probably similar.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So it's actually, so it's actually pretty tight.
Mhm.
And because we need to get this one in, is that before the code freeze, right? So that means like end of January or beginning of February.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds about right.
Okay.
So are we gonna, this is sort of a slightly unrelated question, or a related question. Are we gonna add validation to the CRDs for like CSI snapshots? Because that's a feature that's been in beta for a long time, right?
I think there's well, snapshots is still alpha. I believe there's a plan to add a webhook. Is that right, Shing?
For the web, well, that's for the we do have that for the admissions control. We are going to add that for the default snapshot class. But I think that's a little different from this piece because that one is completely out of tree, right? So we are actually looking at the Cube builder, but I'm not sure if that one is good.
But what about just the CRD validation feature where you define the API schema in the CRD definition? We're not going to use that?
Right now, we just install it automatically by the set calls.
I think Ben is asking when you, in the actual CRD definition, you can like add, they have basic validation methods for like field values and stuff like ranges and
that's for the entry one. So this one, I don't think we have for this. For the entry, there are those.
But I think for like the snapshot ones, you could add those too.
Yeah.
And snapshots is still alpha, so I think it's very easy to add at this point.
Yeah, could add those.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if it's something we plan on doing at all, or if there was a better way, or if it's viewed as unnecessary.
No, I think it would be good to have.
Okay.
Okay.
So going back to the discussion around the webhook for the other CRDs. So the like a hacky approach we took in the past release was to put the validation logic in tree, right? So that at least we have the validation happening in the place where it's getting created.
Yeah, the validation is happening on the client side.
Right, like when the kubelet is creating the objects.
That's right.
So, so what could be a worst case plan? Like it sounds like I had some conversations and Jordan was like, you have to take it up with SIG. Like this is a chicken and egg problem. We have no way to clean it. So if but the impression I got right now is more like we have to find our own way out before an official solution comes out.
Yeah. So I think if we can't figure out how to like install this validation webhook by default, then in the worst case, our server side code needs to be able to handle invalid inputs. Like it should error or something. It should error or ignore or something if the input is not to our up to par.
Right. And so as far as say the node info object, which was the primary case where we needed validation beyond what the API structure already did, the open API spec, because the semantics are slightly more subtle than what right. So in that scenario, it's mainly the kubelet that's creating it. So I was wondering, is it good enough to have validation there where it's getting created?
Yeah, I mean the main problem is that we can't like control everybody.
Correct.
Even though in the proper case, kubelet should be the only one that's modifying it. It's very possible that a user could go in and modify it too.
I see. And we want to reject
that. So We just need to make sure our server-side code is resilient to that, like it doesn't, crash or segfault or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the worst case. I mean, that it's not that terrible.
Sure.
We could basically put the validation. We could validate on the server side and return an error. We could do that.
Uh-huh.
It's just the user won't get an error immediately. It would only be at runtime when we try to use the object, then we would throw the error.
Right. Okay. And by the server side, just to clarify, you mean the folks who are consuming this?
Yeah, the controllers. So I guess this would be the external provisioner.
Yeah.
I think, is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The attacher might be using this one too. Attacher's using.
We're doing extra validation specifically for the topology stuff.
Okay.
Which I think is only impacting the external provisioner. And I think really it's not a huge deal if we have to end up adding extra validation to that. Because in the ideal case, everything is correct and properly controlled.
Yeah, this is like a very smart user doing his own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So going back to the deployment stuff for the add-ons, I think we need to reach out. We'll need to reach out to those cops and kubeadm, and I think those are the main. Maybe we need to send an email out to Kubernetes dev. Maybe that might be a good place to be like, hey, this change is coming, so make sure to update all your deployment tools.
Now, is this something that they usually will do, or we will be submitting PRs?
I think we should definitely reach out to them, and kind of describe what we want, and we can see if they can help with doing that, because we can't be familiar with all the deployment mechanisms.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it's mostly we need to reach out to all of the main maintainers for all of these deployment mechanisms, and then coordinate with them to figure out a fix.
Okay.
All right. Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about? All right, then I hope everyone has a great and relaxing holiday.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you maybe around next week if you're not taking next week off.
Yeah, I canceled the Monday meeting. Wednesday meeting still on.
Okay, awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.